I titled today's mind map, Conscious and Subconscious at the Same Time. Now, this is something that is experienced viscerally while we are in flow. We commit to, and we allow the subconscious mind to reveal the ways. Body moves as an expression of mind. We could say it's a representation of mind. And as a person experiences more flow each day, again, relate back to Tuesday's video in which we spoke of Becoming Supernatural, the book by Dr. Joe Dispenza, specifically referring to the walking meditation. As a person lives this way, they notice that they have a greater degree of harmony and relationship with the conscious and the subconscious. From 2009 to 2013, I had a technology business, an IT business, in which I was offering network, desktop, and technology support for companies in Toronto. And it came about in a very distinct way. When I just became a teenager, my parents had bought a computer for doing schoolwork, Word documents, etc. Now, realizing that I could install some games on the computer, I went over to my friend's place. They had computers, and I got some games, installed it. And my parents weren't happy about that because they didn't want me installing any games. So they brought the computer technician who set up the computer over again, and he set up a password on the computer. And this was the exact moment where I developed a fascination for computers, because before I was thinking I'll just play some games on it. But I felt compelled by this idea of figuring out what this password was. So I dedicated a lot of time, I believe it was weeks, sitting there trying all these different things. And finally, I was able to hack the password. Now, something interesting happened. And upon reflection, I realized that this was one of the earliest recollections of practical autotelic or flow. I felt so one with the challenge of aiming to figure out this password. And so today I found this interesting definition, security hacker. It says, a security hacker is someone who explores methods for breaching defenses in a computer system or network. May be motivated by a multitude of reasons, such as evaluation of a system weakness to assist in formulating defenses against potential hackers. When we deeply engage in something that we are deeply in love with, passionate about, interested in, we some way, somehow figure out ways to get to the destination, even if it seems impossible. Now, the fascination with computer hacking in my teenage years brought me to certain meetup groups, which upon retrospect, connecting the dots looking backwards, I found it to be very instrumental in my journey. And what I found in 2013 was I was no longer interested in the computer stuff, and I developed a heightened degree of fascination for the human mind as I got deeply involved with consulting, leadership, etc. I found that the relationship that I have within myself, as well as working with others, their relationship between the conscious and subconscious became a deep fascination of mine, recognizing that there's this programming that seems to create a disconnect between the conscious and the subconscious. A person commits to a vision and perhaps they encounter overthinking, emotional reactivity, and they seem to relate to, identify with this overthinking and emotional reactivity and assume that that's the way they are. When in actuality, how they actually are is someone that is true and in harmony and one with that vision, that which they consciously commit to, in which they subconsciously allow to express. And so going back to this definition here, through cause and effect reflection in conversations, reflection upon myself and working with others, we find these different ways of identifying these thinking patterns, emotional patterns that a person has been subconsciously identifying with. And we develop the ability to communicate with them in a way that speaks to the subconscious mind, allowing them to let go of those thinking patterns, emotional patterns, and recalibrate themselves over to being how they truly are, the conscious and subconscious as one. Now, in the Kabbalion, it states, students of psychology who have followed the modern trends of thought regarding the nature and constitution of these two minds The late Thomas J. Hudson attained great popularity in 1893 by advancing his well-known theory of the objective and subjective minds, which he held existed in every individual. Other writers have attracted almost equal attention by theories regarding the conscious and the subconscious minds, the voluntary and involuntary mind, the active and passive minds, etc., etc. The theories of the various writers differ from each other, but there remains the underlying principle of the duality of mind, the Kabbalion. So there's one mind, and we look at it as conscious and subconscious. Conscious as in what do we commit to, the preference that we have on how we want to live, and as a result, relationship with the subconscious in which we allow the subconscious to express. Now, during those days when I was deeply involved with the IT or technology stuff, I found there were moments where I was so connected with what I was doing that allow my subconscious mind to express and come up with these solutions to the various challenges, network outages, system vulnerabilities. But in my teenage years, in my high school, it was a little different because what I wanted to do at that time was shut down the computer networks in the classroom so we wouldn't do any work. And I would do it. I would figure out ways to hack into the system, and I would do all these different things to delay the class. And although I wouldn't encourage anyone to do this is how I was thinking when I was in my teenage years, because I enjoyed the challenge, and although I didn't direct it in a way that would be mutually beneficial for everyone, I later found out how so, and whatever patches they would put in place to resolve these network issues, I'd find the loopholes again. And this would turn into a cat and mouse game with the techs in my school. And so one day they discovered that I was the cause for this, and the computer teacher at the time pulled me aside, and I thought he was going to suspend me or even worse. And instead what he did was something that actually encouraged me and shaped the direction of where I went. He said, you're very talented. If only you would direct this energy towards perhaps building a career around this. There's a lot of opportunity, and you seem to have a genuine interest and a way of working with computers and technology, and this could lead you down a very successful career path. He even offered me if I was interested in volunteering so I could further understand and learn about network infrastructure. But however, at the time, I wasn't interested in hanging out at school after school. Now, this ties in very nicely into what Mihai Csikszentmihalyi refers to as the Autotelic, which is what happens when we do something that we really want to do, what we really love to do, and it's something that we are inherently fascinated by, and we enjoy staying committed to doing this. We experience deep stages of flow, which we call autotelic. So he says in one of their studies conducted in the University of Chicago, for example, it was observed that teenagers who had certain types of relationships with their parents were significantly more happy. The family context promoting optimal experience could be described as having 5 characteristics. And so when I reviewed this today, this is what I actually found as commonality in my career and entrepreneurial pathway, and perhaps this has some insights in your pathway. Number 1, clarity. The teenagers feel that they know what their parents expect from them. Goals and feedback in the family interactions are unambiguous. Number 2, centering. The children's perception that their parents are interested in what they are doing in the present, in their concrete feelings and experiences. So he's talking about the relationship between the conscious and subconscious in a harmonious way is developed in teenage years. And even if a person doesn't have this or they experience it differently, they can further encourage it in different stages of the journey. So they can actually find it within themselves. As in, a person finds genuine interest. We're going to talk about in a moment of how autotelic personality was discovered in an extremely challenging situation. Choice. Children feel that they have a variety of possibilities from which to choose, including that of breaking parental rules, as long as they're prepared to face the effects. So when we're involved with something, whatever it may be, a challenging opportunity that presents itself, to learn something, to discover new ways, what ends up happening is it opens up our mind for possibilities. In order to find the way, the some way, somehow that leads to the destination, one would want to encourage that there are many possible ways that have not been discovered, which is to the power of the subconscious mind to reveal those ways over to the destination. Next, we have commitment. The trust that allows a child to feel comfortable enough to set aside the shield of his defenses and become unself-consciously involved in whatever is interested in. Now, as mentioned in my journey, by finding vulnerabilities in the high school network and creating network issues, and this teacher comes along and he seems to, all of a sudden, I've never had that conversation before, encourage doing it, only channeling it in a different direction. And then there's challenge, or the parent's dedication to providing increasingly complex opportunities for action to their children, which is what he offered, and I didn't take him up on it because I had a group of friends that were into this kind of stuff, and we had our own computer hacking challenges that we would engage in. So I'm finding, as well as I'm having many conversations with people, that in the earlier stages of their journey, usually when they're children, teenagers, they actually have clarity as to what they want. Although it might not be encouraged at home, or they might not have people around them that encourage it, my aim through these videos is to connect everyone back to what it is that they truly love, their natural talents in which they wanted to cultivate them, they wanted to express them, and allow it to express. Number two, the centering aspect is actually to find masterminds and others who will actually encourage this in you. And in relation to, when it comes to encouraging it, encouraging that although they might not have gotten to the destination, or they might see that it's seemingly impossible or extremely challenging, that others around them would encourage them that there are many ways that they have not discovered yet. This was the lure of computer hacking, was that there were so many ways that the idea was that no matter how much it seems that it was impossible, that you would stay with it. In some way, somehow, you would figure it out. This helped me tremendously in my IT career in corporate, as well as my IT business. We would always figure out the solution. We would always overcome the challenge, because through the repetition of staying with it and being engaged in it and remaining in it and finding flow and allowing the subconscious mind to express, as a result of the conscious commitment that that's the way it's going to be, we're going to get to the destination, some way, somehow, we would always get there. And through the repetition of doing this again and again and again, it became a habit. And then when I moved into consulting, I saw the same opportunity in helping them with operational challenges, marketing challenges, sales challenges, innovation challenges, leadership challenges, etc. And the same is to be said about the great joy that I have right now, making these videos and connecting these different things together in a way that I could relate to assisting you on your journey to realizing your goals and vision. And then there's the commitment. It's okay if things didn't go to plan. You can inspire yourself back into the ideal state of mind, as we talk about, via the conscious and subconscious relationship by working with perhaps the walking meditation. Again, watch that video that I did on Tuesday. I'll put a link in the description to it. Bring ourselves back into the state of mind. So if there's any challenges along the way, we're able to stay committed. Now, as a person continues to do this again and again and again, they'll notice a deeper degree of harmony between the conscious and the subconscious mind. We remain lighthearted. We allow intuition to guide us. We trust that we have within us the infinite knowledge and wisdom to some way, somehow bring us to the destination, overcome the challenge, and even draw upon the people, the environments, the resources via the powers of the subconscious mind to contribute in a harmonious way to achieving that vision. And so Mihai Csikszentmihalyi calls this the Autotelic. He says the traits that mark an autotelic personality are clearly revealed by those that actually even enjoy situations that others would find unbearable. He gives an example. He says, an acquaintance who worked in the United States Air Force intelligence tells the story of a pilot who was imprisoned in North Vietnam for many years and lost 80 pounds and much of his health in a jungle camp. When he was released, one of the first things he asked was to play a game of golf. To the great astonishment of his fellow officers, he played a superb game despite his condition. To their inquiries, he replied that every day of his imprisonment, he imagined himself playing 18 holes, carefully choosing his clubs and approach and systematically varying the course. So he had a harmonious relationship between the conscious and the subconscious, to the point where he was actually living in his imagination. And so he says this discipline not only helped preserve his sanity, but apparently also kept his physical skills well honed. So this is symbolic that no matter where we are in the journey, Whether we're starting out on the career path, just starting out in the entrepreneurial journey, whatever it is that we're doing, whatever part of the journey we are on the way to realizing our goals and our vision, we can always continue to encourage this harmonious relationship between the conscious and the subconscious. Now let's relate this over to the elements of flow. Number one, you've got clear vision. Number two, immediate reporting and feedback. Number three, harmony between challenge and skills. Number four, action and awareness become one. Number five, free from distractions. Fear, doubt, and indecision tapers away. Number six, time is distorted. And then a person becomes autotelic. The opportunity to further harmonize that relationship between the conscious and subconscious, experience more flow and autotelic in your day-to-day activities and whatever it is that you're doing, is found in thinking patterns, emotional patterns, and behavioral patterns. So you hear me say this a lot all throughout my videos, although I encourage this way more now than I did when I was a teenager, because I see this play out again and again and again. There were times during those days with the technologies where I would get extremely frustrated. There would be a lot of emotional reactivity, overthinking, and it would play out in convoluted behaviors. I didn't understand what was going on until I read Think and Grow Rich in 2004, in which he spoke about the subconscious mind, autosuggestion, etc., that I was unconsciously identifying with certain thinking patterns in relation to the activities, which was bringing me into different states of mind. That I was emotionally reacting to certain experiences on the project, which was bringing me into different states of mind. That certain convoluted behaviors were creating additional complexity and so forth as a result of certain thinking pattern and emotional pattern identification within, which was not true and accurate to how I really am. So if we encounter challenge on the journey to realizing our goals and our vision, we want to see it as an opportunity, that it is revealing our thinking patterns. Simply, what are we thinking in relation to the experience, or emotional patterns and behavioral patterns? And through the conscious commitment to the vision, or seeing things accurately. For example, a person might have certain thinking patterns in which they think it's not possible for them to achieve what they desire. They can ask themselves the question then, is this really true? They can go within themselves, and via the power of the subconscious mind, they can actually engage in a conversation with their subconscious mind, the conscious and subconscious relationship. Watch the video I did on Subconscious Speaks. I'll put a link in the description to that video. By further encouraging and building this inward relationship, they receive the true and accurate thinking patterns intuitively so in relation to whatever challenge that they're experiencing. They identify with those true and accurate thinking patterns. And so all of a sudden they get a hunch to call somebody, read a certain book, or even receive within, like Nikola Tesla would, the solution for the challenge. They try it out and it seems to work. This has happened so many times as a result of being involved with technology. I wasn't able to find the solution anywhere on forums or manuals. And then all of a sudden an idea popped in my mind. I said, what if I try this? And it seemed so unconventional that I ended up trying whatever it was in an unconventional way, and it actually resolved that challenge. It provided the solution. And sometimes those solutions end up getting packaged and offered to clients. This is how new technologies are built, by finding it within themselves. Same is to be said about emotional patterns. If a person has an inharmonious relationship between the conscious and the subconscious, which is the programming, which is revealed by emotional patterns, thinking patterns, they can ask themselves the question, what are these emotional patterns revealing? The emotions are messengers. The thinking patterns are messengers. What are they revealing? Perhaps someone has certain associations in regards to self-confidence. And if they don't see themselves as deserved, they might find themselves having certain emotional patterns when they're relating with others that's playing out as the theater in the relationships. They don't need to shame or condemn themselves. They simply identify these thinking patterns and work with the power of the subconscious mind to change these patterns, or more accurately put, find the true and accurate patterns within themselves or working with others that are based on how they actually are. Watch the almost 2-hour video I did on the power of the subconscious mind by Joseph Murphy. You'll find that to be very helpful. And the same is to be said about behavioral patterns. We've been talking about over the last few weeks, personal magnetism, conversation, relationship with others, how words, body language, voice tonality, the vibe we feel around others is revealing what's going on within ourselves. So any flinching or nervous behaviors, things like that, no need to shame and condemn ourselves. Understand these thinking patterns within ourselves. And these seeming challenges, what a person experiences, are actually opportunities for them to become more of who they actually are. That is what I refer to in this part here, challenge and skill, harmony. Conscious and subconscious assimilating as one. And the opportunity is really in letting go of the thinking patterns, the emotional patterns, the behavioral patterns that are not true and accurate to how you really are in alignment with your goals and your vision. And so what happens then is action and awareness becomes one. Time distortion, a person is able to produce way more output as far as business growth, etc., in less amount of time by allowing the creativity to express via the powers of the subconscious mind. What we want is a lighthearted relationship. We can also call this the heart and mind relationship. Again, watch the video I did on Tuesday. And then the person experiences more of the autotelic way of being. Remember these 5 important things. Number 1, clarity. We want to allow others to discover within themselves who they actually are, what they truly love. It's apparent in the things that they are interested in. They will demonstrate signs of what they're interested in. Number 2, centering. Have a genuine interest in what they're doing, how they feel, their thinking patterns, their behaviors, and the cultivation and the experiences that they're having as they further go down that path. Number 3, choice. Encourage possibility-based thinking. That they're going to learn from whatever it is that they're going through. We're going to learn from whatever it is we're going through and recalibrate ourselves, recenter us back over to that clear vision of our goal, our definite chief aim. And number 4, he says commitment. If I'm involved with anyone in whatever shape or form, business, relationships, whatever, I commit to their goals, their visions. I commit to it. As in, I want to be there supportive and encouraging and committed to their goals and their vision so I can further encourage this. We want to do this with ourselves and we want to do this with others. And challenge. Challenge is a wonderful thing. See, when a person is given choice to discover within themselves the clarity, center themselves, and they're committed and we're committed to their success, if any challenges in regards to thinking patterns, emotional patterns, behavioral patterns, inner or outer challenges, whatever it is, we let go of this idea that it's a problem, that the challenge actually stimulates the conscious conversation with the subconscious mind, in which the subconscious mind reveals the ways. This is what we'll find more so as we continue down this journey. And as this conversation that happens inside of a person is further encouraged, they feel a greater degree of harmony within, internal peace, calm, flow, autotelic, and is expressed more so in all areas of their life. Personal life, business life, as they let go of the thinking, emotional, and behavioral patterns that are not true and accurate to how they are and find within themselves, and also in our encouragement with them, the true and accurate thinking patterns and the emotional relatability to the different aspects of their life, thus further allowing, and we find that when the thinking and emotional patterns are aligned, the behavioral patterns, what a person does and the challenges that they experience, whatever it is in their business, personal life, the behaviors automatically flow that are ideal, which we can relate back to our conversation. I'll put a link in the description to it, in which we discuss personal magnetism in regards to William Walker Atkinson's work. From the ideal state of mind, everything is expressed automatically. And we can say in the ideal state of mind, the conscious and subconscious are experienced experientially, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, as one. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's go ahead and conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage these 5 areas. We can say, I recognize that every day I receive within myself a higher degree of clarity via the powers of the subconscious mind by consciously stimulating higher degrees of clarity by encouraging that which I truly am. This allows me to center my attention and my awareness and my focus lightheartedly so on the present moment, recognizing that there are infinity ways to get to the destination revealed by conversation, dialogue within myself between the conscious and the subconscious commitment. If any challenges occur on the journey to realizing my vision, I feel a higher degree of relationship excitement within myself between the conscious and subconscious, which automatically expresses as the ideal thinking in relation to the experience, thus ideal thinking in relation to the emotional relatability of excitement to the experience, thus expressing the ideal behaviors, revealing the transmutation of fear energy into courage energy, thus further building the relationship between the conscious and subconscious as I experience them now, in the eternal now, as one. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.